Hey everybody, Jeff Sutherlin and Chase Waldren here. Jeff Sutherlin team with eXp Realty. We're excited. We're pumped to show you the market update for December 2024. Merry Christmas,
Merry
Chase.
Christmas. It's the best time of the year. We're excited to be here.
That's right. It's a wonderful life.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to share these data sets with you guys today in the hopes that you guys get a lot of value out of these. First of all, we have this graph right here, which is all about the transportation around Maricopa and Pinal County. So 479, Prop 479 was passed in the last voting cycle. That means that half of 1 cent of sales tax will be used to fund transportation. If you ever want to look at cool maps, like where all the new highways are, just go to azmag.gov. You can see the URL here at the bottom of my page. There's a lot of stuff going on around Phoenix. People continue to move here. It's a great place to live. A lot of good infrastructure is being passed, for sure. All right, so continuing on, we have the projected employment report. Now, this is a very good unemployment rate. The claims are tracking about the same as they have with the United States as a whole. So we had 25,000 Arizona claims in November. This is a report from November, and our unemployment's running a little bit over 4%, which is actually normal. Our labor here in the valley is good. Our job market looks really promising. It used to be just a housing market, 10, 20 years ago, like 20 years ago. Now it's all over the place. We have healthcare, we have technology, we have housing, we have automobiles. There's so much now in Arizona. And then check these mortgage rates out, my friends. Now, these were the day ending November 26th. Right now, the mortgage rates, where are they sitting, Chase?
They're sitting right at about 6.6, 6.7. So they've ticked down a little bit from what it's showing here at 6.95. They're kind of continuing to go up and down, but incrementally and kind of staying generally in the same area for the most part. So we're seeing a little bit of movement, but we're watching them every day.
Awesome. And the difference between the green line and the blue line, my friends, is the blue is conventional loans. That means those are backed by private investors, those loans. The FHA line, the green, those are government-backed loans, federal housing assistance loans. So there's more MIP, mortgage insurance premium. That's a part of those loans. Now, the mortgage rates, one thing I want to show here is a lot of people think that the mortgage rates are tied to the federal funds rate. They're not. They're tied to the 10-year Treasury bond. And you'll see over the last many years, the long-term average spread between the two, the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year mortgage, is about 1.7%. You can see it's almost identical the way that these two lines run with each other. So what's going on with the 10-year Treasury is what usually is going on with the 30-year mortgage rate. And so just keep that in mind. We we really expect for at least the first quarter rates to be pretty stable. We're going into a stable market. The rates are going to jump back and forth, up and down, probably in the midpoint around 6.5. That's what we expect to see in the future. Of course, anything can happen, but plan for that, and we plan for a very stable market in housing in this valley, meaning we're probably going to see around 2% appreciation. That's about it all of next year. It's not going to be anything wild and crazy. It's going to be very predictable.
Yeah. And I think something important that you noted was that the mortgage rates are not directly affiliated with the federal funds rate. And a lot of people, they, talk about, oh, the Fed's cut rates, this and that. They're anticipating the mortgage rates to go down. I mean, just a month or so ago, the Fed cut the rates, the Fed funds rates, and then the mortgage rates actually ticked up.
Yeah,
So it's just something to always keep in mind. It's not a direct correlation. It's kind of an indicator, but it's not 100%.
yeah, that's right. And typically, just to let you know, is when bad things are happening in the economy, typically the mortgage rates go down. And if you ask everybody what they predict, there's many predictions out there, and you can see all these experts are saying that the rates will moderate, and except one person there says they will decline. So we expect a lot of the same going into the first quarter of next year. Now this will blow your mind. You want to talk to this slide?
Yeah, yeah. So this came out saying that the average age of the typical American first-time home buyer has reached an all-time high of 38 years old this year. Now, just to compare, last year it was at 35 years old. This year it has gone up to 38, an all-time high. So first-time home buyers typically on average are 38 years old as of this year.
I don't know about you guys out there, but that makes me sad. It's very difficult for younger people to get into homes. It's a little bit tougher. But interestingly, 30%, almost 30% of millennials who are now renting can now afford a home. But they don't always know it, do they, Chase? They
No,
don't really know it.
no, and we talk to a lot of people too that they might be a little bit younger and they're thinking, oh, I don't think I can afford a home. They haven't really done the research. They don't know. And then when we get them in touch with our loan approval department, they go through different options. What's the best home loan option for them? And then they realize that, hey, there are options out there for them to get into a home. So a lot of people just don't really realize what's possible.
Yeah, that's right. So let us help you know what's possible by just reaching out to us. We'll get you in with our loan department and see what we can do and see if you know what your purchasing power is. Now, here's another interesting one. Across Maricopa County and Pinal, the median rent for a single family home between 1,200 and 15 square feet is 1950. It actually went down a little bit. So it's 1950 for those that are renting for that square footage. 2150 when it goes up between 1,500 and 2,000. That's only a few hundred square feet larger, and it bumped up $200 per month for your median rent price. And now here's your median price for a starter home across Pinal and Maricopa County. We're sitting at 373, just below 374 at the end of November. Okay, and as you go up a little bit more, it bumps up to 438. So it goes up from like 473 to 438, just over a few hundred square feet. So a big jump there. And if you've noticed, we've been steadily increasing over this year, even though demand is lower. Supply being lower, demand is lower, which we'll talk about in a minute. The appreciation still has occurred in 2024. I'm going to take this slide, Chase.
Yeah. So these next few slides, these are just showing the difference in interest rate and what kind of savings that you can accomplish just by that change in interest rate. So here we got a 7.5% interest rate compared to a 7, and you can see at a loan amount of 200,000, you're saving $68 a month in just that difference alone. If you go up to $400,000 there, you're saving $136 a month just in that half a percentage of the interest rate. So it does play a major role in your monthly payment. Here we're going down to 6.5. So jumping a full point at that $200,000 loan amount, you're saving $134 there just in that $200,000 loan amount. And then this last one, jumping all the way to 6, so a point and a half, you're saving almost $200 on that $200,000 loan amount. If you're looking at 400,000, you're saving almost $400 in that point and a half. So big difference there in your monthly payment. So definitely something that plays a role and something that we have to pay attention to.
And the cool thing also about this slide, friends, is if you look at the 2-1 buy down, and the 2-1 buy down means that you have 2 years of lower rates that are escalating up to the final rate that you're going to be paying for the duration of the loan. So in this example, we have a 6% loan, right? It's going to start off in the first year at 4%. The next year, the second year, it would be 5%. And then it would be a 30-year fix for the remaining 27 years. And that would be at 6%. But look at the difference. Look at the difference between six, the 7.5, the 6, and then the 2-1 buy down. We're talking about quite a bit of money. We're talking about for a $350,000 loan, $427 savings.
Yeah.
20%. It's a big deal. So these 2-1 buy downs are really something to look at when you're out in the market. A lot of new homes are offering that. Okay, so this year will probably be no different because we're sitting here in the middle of December than the rest of the years. This is very cyclical, very seasonal. Look at what happens in 2024 with that red line. Look what happened in 22 and 23. Essentially, right now is the middle of December. Between now and the end of the year, you're going to see very little volume of sales contracts that happen. And that is the biggest reason as a buyer you should get out there, because sellers would love to sell their home and there's very little traffic in their homes. Now is the time to buy. Right, Chase?
100%, 100%. Yeah, a lot of people are on the sidelines, traveling for the holidays, worried about Christmas gifts and whatnot. And now is the time. People still need to sell their home. And so when the transactions slow up, this is a lot of times when serious buyers are out in the market, and a lot of negotiations can be had during these times because there's not a lot of activity in the market. So
Yep.
if it's for a serious buyer out there, the holiday time when everything's slowed up, there's not a lot of competition in the market, that is the time.
Yep, and you're seeing it firsthand with all the contracts you've been writing. You're seeing it. You're seeing all the
100%.
concessions and the
Yep.
price reductions. See what happens in January. Look at the left side of the graph, everyone. It's going to kick up. That's the way it always is in Arizona. It's very seasonal. So we'll have a lot more accepted contracts, more inventory is going to hit the market, more buyer activity is going to happen. So in 2024, we've experienced what we call a transactional recession. We've had a lower amount of sales. If you look over the last more than 20 years, we've only had a couple times where our sales volume has been less than where we're at now. So we've had an affordability challenge, we've had higher rates, and now you can see why our sales are so down. I've heard statistics that almost half the realtors out there have not even sold one house this year. Some startling statistics. Don't quote me on that. That's just one I heard the other day, so I'm not sure. But regardless, that's a pretty sad stat. And so we expect to see many agents actually leave the business, actually, and they won't renew their dues and such. So, it's important that you work with a professional. And so we're in this full time. We're in it to win it for our clients. But you can see the sales volume has gone down dramatically this year. We expect to see this improve by about 10 or 15% in 2025. Okay, now we like to share our secret sauce. These reports are done by our friends over at the Cromford Report. And if it's less than 100, it's typically more of a buyer's market. And this market index, when it's more than 100, that means it's a seller's market. Okay, the higher the number, the more seller's market it is. So look at the supply index. Again, for the whole valley, both counties, we have supply that is less than normal. It's at 88.7. The normal is 100. That would be balanced supply. That's a good amount of supply on both sides. Then on the demand side, we have 76.7. So we had lower demand, we had lower supply, but demand was very low, in the month of November. So our market index across the board of Phoenix, for the most part, and there's certain municipalities that are different, but most of the valley is in a buyer's market, Chase.
hmm Yeah, very, very interesting. And I think we have a graph that's going to show it, but within the last 20 years, there was three buyers markets, I believe, in the last 20 years.
That's it.
So it's something to just think about for the individuals that are thinking about maybe potentially wanting to make a move and buy. This is the time for buyers.
Yep. And look down at the bottom of this slide, you see supply going up and you have the market index trend going down, demand kind of hovering there, staying lower. But we see that market index trend going down because supply is going up, right? Okay, and then check this out. This is a price response to supply and demand indexes. You can see the price way at the top of this graph where the price is per square foot. And you can also see at the very end of this graph, you can see that blue line just shot right up. That's supply. You can see how much supply has been added into the market the last just few months. Very accelerated. Just a few months ago, we had a balanced market. Supply was low, supply was low, demand was low, and now supply is almost to normal. Now we're getting into an interesting market where buyers have more power, and you've seen this in the market, which we'll talk about a little bit more. This is the coolest graph ever. You can see a lot of the big swings in our market since 2013. And this goes to show you another graph. This is the Cromford Market Index, the 2024 number, that is that blue line. We're comparing that to other years, such as 2022. You can see what happened in 22. That was a crazy year, right? Huge seller's market, and then it dove like a rock. And then the second part of the year, it almost went to balance. And then you look at those great recession years, '06, '07, '08, and then after the great financial crisis of '09, we see what happened in 10. Look at all those lines. They all have pretty much the same thing in common. They're buyers markets. They're all below normal, which is 100. We just love data, don't we, Chase?
Yeah, this is telling the story.
Tell them the story so you can make good decisions for your family. Chase was saying these are the three buyers markets that occurred prior to this year, only three in the last 23 years. You can see them 2006 to 2008. That was after the Great Recession. Then after the great financial debacle of 2009, we got the 2010 buyers market, 2022 buyers market. Now we're actually in another one. So I'm telling you, we believe, Chase and I believe this is the time to buy because once January hits, it could very well take off again, right? And we're seeing a lot of predictions being made that there will be appreciation next year. Not a lot, but there's no reason to think the prices are going to go down. We're in a stabilizing market right now. It's going to stabilize going into 2025. Check this out.
All right, so here shows kind of the different areas of the Phoenix Metro, and whether they're in a seller's market, fully balanced market, or a buyer's market. So overall, we talked about it a little bit earlier that overall Phoenix has dipped into a buyer's market based on supply and demand, but this breaks it down to the individual municipalities and where they land. So you have places like Chandler, Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, those areas are still considered a seller's market based on supply and demand. And then you have areas that are pretty darn close to balanced, right in that balanced area. Tempe, Mesa, Gilbert, these areas have gone from a seller's market and are creeping into balanced. And then you have areas such as down below there in the blue, Surprise, Goodyear, Queen Creek, Buckeye. These areas are buyers markets. So the supply greatly outweighs the demand, and those are full on buyers markets.
Yeah, what's interesting about this, if you look at the cities that have the biggest swings, Fountain Hills is still a seller's market. However, they really swung downward. So they're moving fast towards a balanced market or into a not as a big time seller market. So that's a big swing. But also look at the buyers markets. There's one thing in common. They're pretty much all on the fringe, right? They're outlying areas. I remember when this happened back in '06, same idea. But you got 11% down for Surprise. Already had a ton of supply. Already had a ton of supply. And now it's even going further into a buyer's market. Buckeye, 12%. So these are great areas to buy homes right now. There's good deals to be had. So if you're a buyer and you're serious, man, and you like those areas, you got to
100%.
get out there. Let us
100%.
know. Let us know. Right? So another pictorial here of the different sellers, buyers, and balanced markets. You can see they're kind of all over the place. So a lot of differences there. Appreciation in 2024 so far, we're up since November 2023. We're up over that amount. So not a whole lot, but about 3.4%. So that's a pretty good, pretty good little run rate. Pretty
Yep.
stable. Should even stabilize more next year. And then finally, you can see this is ARMLS, ARMLS is the Arizona Regional Multiple Listing Service, which encompasses Pinal and Maricopa County. You can see all of the supply increases by the different types of square footages, square feet, I should say. We have the single family homes, which are the SFR. Those are single family homes, and then we have condos and mobiles. But look at the swings in supply over to the right. Some major percentage increases. Heading down the home stretch, supply or single family permits have done really well, especially in 2024. That's why you're seeing so many incentives out there, right? What kind of incentives are you seeing out there, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, all the builders are offering all types of different incentives, buying the rate down. So, these builders are putting a lot of money up front to buy the interest rate down. And then obviously additional funds to upgrades to the home, discounts on the pricing for spec homes. They're offering all sorts of different things to make it competitive for buyers to come in and purchase these new build homes. So they've really been super popular within the last year and even further just with all of these incentives that they're offering.
Yeah, that's right. And then another interesting graph. Look at the homeowners insurance. You've seen here how much it's grown over the last couple years. From about $215 a month, now to, up quite a bit, up to around like $260 a month. That's a big increase, right? That's a real thing. And in some states, it's really bad, like Florida.
Right.
So just that's another reason why people started to tap the brakes the second part of this year. You can see the actual numbers there. Right now, we're sitting in August of 2024 was running about $250 a month for an average homeowner's insurance policy. Days on market. This is what we're calculating for how many days before you get a contract on the house. This is across the valley, 38 days, up significantly. There's only been a couple times where it's been close to that in the last almost 10 years. Back in November 2014 and then in 2023, it was close. So, yeah, overall, a lot of days on market.
Yep.
Again, another indicator sellers are getting a little bit antsy. And so if you come in there, you never know what they'll take.
For sure.
You never know. Weekly price reductions, 9,231 price reductions when we pulled this report in November. That's a lot of people enhancing their price.
Yeah, and same thing, right? I mean, compared to there was a little bit more in 2022, but over the last 10 years, that's the highest. Other than 2022, that's the highest
Mhm.
that it has been in
Yep.
the last 10 years.
Wow. And then we have the percent of closings where sellers are paying concessions. That's over half of the deals are paying concessions from the seller. And then those concessions are hovering around $10,000. They're no joke. I mean, that's a pretty nice concession.
100%. That's going towards closing costs, a rate buy down, prepaying HOA fees, anything you might need, anything that the buyer really wants to use it for, towards financing or anything like that. That's what those are going towards.
Yep, 100%. And then you can see this is almost like a bell curve. And if you got the middle of the price point, 300 to like 500K in sales volume or sales price, you're looking at a pretty hefty amount there. 62 to 68% of the houses are having concessions paid. So if you're a listing or you're a seller, get ready because the buyer's most likely going to ask for concessions. Okay, and so I hope the main thing you get out of this is a few things, my friends. If you've stuck with this long, if you're millennial, okay, I'm talking to the millennials out there, and you think you've been locked out, you think, man, there's no way I can get a house. Don't think that necessarily. At least find out. Come talk to us, and we can tell you what your purchasing power is. There's a lot of programs right now to help people, and I think that what's going to happen in January is I don't want to see the prices go up even more and have there be more competition, and it makes it even harder for you to get into a house. If you're listening to this, come talk to us. That's the worst thing that can happen is you'll know what your purchasing power is. You don't have to act on it. But historically, Arizona real estate has been good, and a lot of people have been saying, "Is this a bubble? Is this a bubble we're sitting on? When is it going to, actually absolutely implode?" There's no economic data right there saying that we're going to have an implosion of prices, right?
Yep.
The labor market's good, right? There's a lot of good things happening in Arizona. What
Yep.
are your last words, Chase?
I would just say kind of what you said for buyers out there or people that are thinking about buying. Let's talk about your options. Like you said, it's always good to know what your options are. We can talk with you about our VIP buyer program and how we work and what we can provide to buyers. And then if you're a seller, I would also say I know we hit the point home on the buyer side today, but depending on how long you've owned your home and kind of what your goals are, it might not be a bad time either to be a seller. And we do complimentary CMAs so that people can kind of understand what's going on in their specific market and what might be achievable for their home. So if that's something that you just want to know, reach out and let us know. And that's information that we can provide to you so that you know what your options are also.
Absolutely. And if you're a seller, long gone are the days where you can put your property on the market and it sells in 24 hours. You got to put a property on the market that is staged well, that looks good. It's really important that you partner with a professional real estate agent because we can tell you what you should fix in the house, where you're going to get the most return. So right now we're heading into a market where it's almost equal leverage for buyers and sellers,
Yeah,
which is a great place to be, finally. So come talk to us. We'd love to help you, and we just wish you and your family a wonderful holiday season, a happy new year. We hope that you stay safe. And if there's anything you need from either one of us, please don't hesitate to call upon us.
100%.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day.